Hello and welcome to another Dorset and Guernsey area video. Today I'm going to do you an all foliage arrangement with material from my garden. Often when we're seeing a demonstrator, they do an arrangement and we wait for the flowers to go in, but before that we always think, well actually it looks really pretty without the flowers. So I thought I would have a go at doing a no flowers arrangement. My inspiration today is picnics. This week is our anniversary and we're hoping to go for a picnic if the weather stays nice. So I thought this would be something that I could do for you today. I have this small picnic basket, probably not big enough for our lunch, but might hold the bottle of wine. Anyhow, this rather small basket is what I'm going to use. I'm going to do an asymmetrical arrangement in here, and I have put a square round of Oasis bowl with Oasis in it, and I've taped the Oasis on. I've chamfered the Oasis to give me extra planes to work into, and I was careful when I taped it that I wouldn't be placing the tape where I knew I was going to put certainly my first or second placements. Now I've also put in the bottom another square round upside down because I need to bring this arrangement up. I need to be able to work into the sides of my foam, and this has enabled me to do that. I've put it to one side because I want the arrangement to flow across this side of the basket. So the first thing I'm going to put in is some equisetum. This is equisetum from the pond at the bottom of our garden. We put it in and it was quite slow to take off, but my has it taken off now, and I was very pleased to pick some. In fact, I pulled it up by the roots. This, I'm going to use a tip that we got from Julia Harrison when she came to teach our floral fundamentals workshop. And she always uses cornice twigs to make her outline. So I thought, well, I hadn't got any cornice to hand, but I thought, well, I could use this to make my outline. So I'm going to do my first placement, and my first placement will be 1.5 times in height the width of the arrangement, the basket. So I'm just going to put my first placement in. It's going to be towards the back and to the left, so about 2/3 to the left, and keeping it fairly upright. And the next one is going to go just a little bit shorter in front of it, and then we'll have a third one to give us some depth in the arrangement behind it. And as I say, I've graduated the height on those. And then I want to put my right angle into this arrangement. So I'm going to have a couple of pieces coming out to the right, and these will be about 2/3 of the length of that first placement. So I'm going to pop those in just touching the edge of the basket. And I'm going to cut a point on this one because this wasn't one of the nice thin ends, so I'm just going to put a point on it so that it has that, it just fades away. So that's my first few placements. Now, because I thought this was going to be a little bit boring for you, in true fashion I've got one that I did earlier. Now this one, you can see I have filled in the triangle. So I now know this is the outer part of my triangle. None of these go further than that, and also on this side. But I've also put some in coming forward, which is going to give me some nice depth in the arrangement, and it means I don't get a very flat front, something that we're quite used to seeing, particularly on pedestals. It's so easy to make the front very flat. So I've brought a few of the equisetum out there. This is lovely with the sun shining through it. Looks very pretty because you can see the structure of it. The next piece of material is the Euonymus japonicus, and this one's called Bravo. It has this lovely white edge to it. Also, if you can see them, it has pretty little white flowers just coming out now, and this is June. So I'm going to put one piece in with my first placements just to give it some strength, and then another piece just beside that, just a little bit behind, just again to give me a little bit of depth. This bush is taller than I am now, grows really well in coastal areas, very robust, but really very nice to have in the garden. So we'll put a couple more bits of this in, and put a piece coming out up to the side here. Always clean your stems off, you don't want to have leaves pushing into the foam. And then I've got one longer bit I'm just going to put in. Oh, we've got a slug in there too. I'll take him off. And I'll just tuck a piece, a short piece, out the back here, I think, just to take that colour through. So that's the Euonymus japonicus Bravo. The next thing I'm going to put in is some hostas, and if you saw my first video, you saw how well my hostas are growing. There are two quite large ones down at the pond. This is the second one, has this beautiful lime green centre with a white flash on it. Can't remember the name of it, but doing very well and no holes at the moment. So I'm just going to put a couple of those in at this side, flowing over the edge of the basket. And again, I'm making an arrow shape because that's easier for me to place into the foam. And then at the back, I'm going to put some Fatsia japonicus. This is the variegated version. Again, growing really strongly in the garden. Very pleased. It has a lovely white stripe down the stalk, which is rather nice. And I'm going to put a couple of those just in the back there. So we've got the couple of hostas through the front and the Fatsias at the back. I have got another Fatsia, and that's called Spider's Web, but it seems to be very tender. It's definitely struggling a bit, doesn't like the frost. I've had it for some years and it's still not very big, so I don't know if it's going to survive. I know I gave one to a friend and it hasn't survived, although she had it in a pot. So I'm just going to put a couple more hostas in. I have to be aware that I am going to be pulling that lid up, so I don't want the leaves to get damaged. So I'm just going to put it in there. And then I'm going to put in this lovely shrub, and I wish I could remember the name of it. This we bought, I think it was an impulse buy. We bought it and it was very prostrate, and we thought we had a position where it was going to just work for us. Unfortunately, it hasn't stayed like that, and I think I read it, you know, it's going to get really tall. So I have trimmed it. We've taken the top out of it, but it is lovely. It has beautiful branches that you could use for a pedestal arrangement. It also goes a beautiful red in the autumn, so I think it, you know, it's worth having if you've got space. But beware, it does get quite big. Go in the back there. It's lovely. The different greens are just amazing. The next one I'm going to put in is the Grizzlinia, the lovely lime green, and this really is a very good one to have in the garden, and I think it's known for being good in coastal areas, so those of you who live by the sea, it's fine for that. And it grows so well, and it is so useful because it's got this very fleshy leaf, which means it holds up really well. So conditioning, which of course I did, all my plant material was picked and sat in a bucket for, well, it's been in the bucket for a few hours. Sometimes I'll pick it the night before and leave it overnight. But yeah, you need to make sure that you do condition well, particularly at this time of year when everything is quite young still, so some things really need an extra drink. The next piece of plant material I'm going to use is the Spirea Gold Flame. Again, a beautiful limey green, which gives us nice contrast with some of the plant material we've used. I left that one flower on. It is looking glorious at the moment, but I'm not, of course, using flowers today. So don't look, because I'm going to just take the flowers off. But I just thought it's light and airy and just gave us a different form in there. And just bring it out to the side here. Another piece here, just take the lower. So gradually building it up. Different textures, forms, quite a lot of smooth material. But here we have a very rough one, and this is the variegated box. Again, it's doing quite well, although I am slightly worried that I might have box blight coming. Few bits of it are going a little bit brown, and I think that might be a sign, but I've cut them off and I'm hoping that it will recover. It's still growing quite well, so you know, maybe it is okay. Have a bit round there too. It's nice because it's so light, so it gives us that extra colour through, brightening up the arrangement. We'll have some through to the front as well, just to add, so we can make sure we have nice bright bits. The next material I'm going to use, I've just got a little bit of the Aucuba japonica, again the variegated. I thought that the yellow would brighten up the arrangement, so I'm just going to pop a couple of bits of that in. Just quite short, but they'll certainly give us a little bit more colour down there. Oh, I found another bit of the gold flame. I think we'll add that in because it's a beautiful limey green, so it really gives us a bit of pizzazz, I think. Yes, that's nice. Now, this is a picnic, and I think we'll maybe have a glass of wine or maybe a Pimm's, and I thought for Pimm's we need some mint. So this is your common garden mint. smells beautiful. Every time we walk past the box you could smell it, but I thought, well, we'll add that in because we need some for our drinks. So just a bit back there, still keeping within my grouping, my outline, so that I'm not going to lose that. So a couple of bits of mint, and then I've also got this lovely red stemmed mint, which is a basil mint. So I expect we might have a tomato salad, you never know, so we have to have a bit of basil on it, and this is a good alternative to basil if you don't actually have basil in the house. So we'll pop those in. So it's a case of looking around the garden and all sorts of things. You could do it completely with herbs if you like. I mean, there are just such a lot of options. I've also got a little bit of the Eleagnus. This was one that was here when we came to the garden. Again, we need to prune it because it is getting very big. And we have to be careful of the reversion sometimes, but I thought that would just gives us that nice yellowy colour going through the arrangement too. So we haven't got a lot more in the box. We have one or two things. We have, this is a little bit of a yellow variegated euonymus that I have in a pot, and we'll pop those two. I only have a couple of little bits, so we'll pop those in somewhere here to just, doesn't matter if I put those in a bit deeper, it gives us a little bit of recession in there, which is always good. Could take the eye into the arrangement. I've also got, I could do one more piece of, maybe a bit of the Griselinea needs to go up there, just to keep that line going through. I've got some of the lovely heuchera, one of the purple leaved heucheras, and this is a complete contrast, but I thought it's so beautiful at the moment that I think we'll have a little bit of that in there as well. Just towards the centre there, we'll just put some in. What we found when I was picking foliage for the garden, from the garden, was that I hadn't got very much that was yellow, so I think we're going to investigate trying to find something that has a little bit more yellow in it. I think there's a ramnus that maybe we can have. Now, I know Pimm's you maybe usually have strawberries, but I hadn't got any strawberries, so I thought we could have a kiwi or two in there. And you know, you can always use fruit in an arrangement, so I've got a couple of those to pop in. And they don't have to look at me, they can you can have them pointing in different directions. In fact, I don't want them staring at me like two eyes, so there we are, put them in. There we are. Interesting, again, they've got the limey green, they've got the black. Could have had limes, they would have looked good as well, I think. And then my focal point is going to be this, which is a choisia called Goldfingers. It's actually very like the Aztec one, but it has this beautiful yellow foliage. So I thought this could be like my focal flower, but it's not going to be a flower, it's going to be a piece of foliage. So that's going to go in, and that goes in, that's my focus, which goes in right at the base of that very first placement that I put in. I'm just going to put a couple more bits to fill in the middle, because there's a little bit of a gap there that I need to put something in. There, that's what I want. And then I think we're just about finished. Yep, I think we're just about there now. I think that will probably have to do us. I think we've done about as much as we can. So, I do hope you've enjoyed another of our Dorset and Guernsey area videos. It's a delight to bring them to you, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. I'm going to just bring the lid up, because that was my intention, that the lid was up for the arrangement. So, as I say, I hope you've enjoyed this. I've certainly enjoyed bringing it to you, and keep safe, keep well, and we hope to see you at Flower Club sometime in the future.